Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in to the show. As always, I got my crew with me, Darnell and Tyler. I'm Trey, and we are coming your way with the 81st edition of the Don't Kill the Messengers podcast. First thing we're about to get into today is some UFC. They have a pay-per-view Saturday, UFC 215. Little disappointing news to start this off. Darnell's guy, DJ, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, won't be fighting due to an injury or a virus with Ray Borg. Just thoughts on that before we get into some of these fights, man.
I mean, disappointed, of course. I still say that DJ is the pound-for-pound king as far as MMA goes. I know people were immediately jumped back on Jones's bandwagon after he beat DC, but then, of course, he popped hot, so pretty sure people have swung back over the other way. But yeah, I mean, he's on a pace for history, so, of course, this slows him down on that a little bit, or at least pushes his fight back. Of course, I always like watching him fight, even though he doesn't sell a lot of pay-per-views, but yeah. Hope Borg heals up and they can get this going so they can run this back.
Now, as far as, this is one of the best records you can get in the UFC. How do you think the UFC was marketing this fight heading up to it, man? It just got canceled, of course, but, the DJ, he was complaining about his marketing so far. You think the UFC did a good job marketing this fight?
No. Simple fact being, I mean, they've been promoting it on Fox, who the UFC has a partnership with, but the commercials are still promoting Junior Dos Santos for the card.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
So it shows how much they really think about it. The dude been suspended and is not on the card. They're still showing commercials with his name on it.
Yeah. That's just crazy, man, because like you said, easily can be said he's pound for pound, best fighter in the history of the UFC, man, and it just ain't getting the marketing like he should, dude. It's crazy. Like, I don't know what to say for it, man.
I mean, they've made it clear with not really wanting to pay him, and like I said, just they're willing to throw another guy, keep commercials going with a guy that's actually not on the card. I mean, I kind of feel like it might be swindling some people that really that don't keep up with what's going on with these fighters.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Yeah. Cause I was still just looking it up through the internet, and there was just some sites still promoting the Junior Dos Santos fight, and I'm like, yeah, that's not on there anymore, man. So it's, that's just crazy, man. I don't know how that guy is just not getting the respect that's due, but it's can definitely create some more animosity between him and Dana for sure. All right, anything else to add for him, man?
Nope. Like I said, hopefully Ray Borg heals up and they can get this fight happening.
We were talking about it before, with the whole, Detroit's coming up, man. He could be coming to the D, possibly.
That would get me mighty interested in buying the ticket.
Yeah, so this could be a blessing in disguise for you, man. You can see your boy in the D. So that'll definitely be cool to check him out in Detroit. So just need to see how long they would postpone this fight. Because those viruses, they can be a little nasty. It takes a while for them to run their course. But, he could definitely possibly be on that Detroit card, man. So just have to see.
Hopefully I'm not bad luck like when I saw my other favorite the last time they were here.
Yeah, so just have to check it out. Now, just coming into this fight, since that's not going to be on there, Shevchenko and Nunez are going to be the headliner for it. Hopefully, Nunez doesn't get that, sinus problem or whatever she had before, then this card will be really trash. But before we get into that, we got Neil Magny versus Dos Anjos. What do you think about this card, man? This fight?
Neil Magny and RDA.
Yeah.
Interesting fight. I mean, it's two people trying to find their way back into winning ways. Of course, RDA, former champ. Neil Magny is the guy that he gets runs going and he sputters, but also a really good fighter in his own right. This one's interesting for me because Magny he towers over him and has a lot of length.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see how he goes with this because he is a striker in his own right. So I wonder how well he does at keeping RDA at bay and striking it out with him that way. Because I mean, I was looking at some of the weigh-in photos, and I mean, he was towering over him because Magny's 6'3", and Rafael Dos Anjos is 5'9". So I mean, that's a lot of length to be given there. Yeah, so want to see how it goes and see how Dos Anjos does at the heavier weight. Because there are some struggles, and now we're seeing if he can adjust to fight at 170 here. Yeah,
that's right, 170. Yeah. Now this would be my first time looking into Magny, man. You brought up his striking. Is he pretty good with the KOs, or?
He's not really a knockout artist. Like he can stand up and strike, but I mean he's an all around fighter.
Okay.
He uses his range. Like I said, he's a taller fighter for the division. He's 6'3". He uses that length very well. Can stay on the outside and pick people apart. And then, but he's also very good on the ground. As far as his submissions go, and in his 19 wins, he has 6 KOs and 3 submissions. So pretty well rounded fighter. But yeah, there's more volume with how he gets his KOs.
Okay.
But it's not like a one shot knockout type fighter.
Yeah. All right, man. Who you got? Me, I'm going to side with RDA. Just because I'm familiar with him, I know he's a beast. I know what he's capable of doing. But yeah, this would be interesting to see what Magny can bring into this fight. So who you at?
I'm gonna go with Magny. 81-inch reach is gonna be a lot for RDA to deal with.
Okay.
And I just don't feel like he's fought very smart lately. So
true. Yeah. Have to see, man. All right. Anything else to add for these two?
No, but it should be a good fight.
Okay. And then up next for the main event, we have Nunes versus Shevchenko. Just thoughts on this fight?
Well, it's a rematch. They fought a few years ago, or a year ago, basically.
Yeah.
Right now, I was like, yeah, but about a year ago, and Shevchenko got the decision. So these two are familiar with each other, but it's a different type of fight here. It's a 5-round fight now instead of a 3-round fight. So some deep water will have to be gone into here. Actually, no, Nunes won by decision.
Yeah, Nunes.
Sorry. Yeah. So they're familiar with each other. We'll see if they can go the distance again. I believe it probably will, because Shevchenko's she's a tough fighter, smart fighter. Doesn't get in too bad of danger as far as what I've seen of her. A lot of her fights go to decision, or she pulls off a submission win for the most part. For 14 wins, she's got 6 submissions. Though she does have a couple 4 KOs to her under her belt as well. But I'm more inclined to ride the wave of the champ. They fought some similar opponents as well as fighting each other. but I don't know. I just feel like Nunez is, riding that wave right now. But I know Shevchenko is going to come in with a chip on her shoulder because that's in her recent fight history. That's the one blemish right there. She's won 4 out of her last 5, but that one loss is to Amanda Nunez.
Yeah,
and I believe that's what catapulted Nunez to number 1 contendership. So.
Yep. So yeah, I feel the same way, man. Just the key thing for Shevchenko would just be mostly if she can survive that first round, because Nunez, man, she's going to come out there doing her thing and swinging. She's a girl that could definitely deliver punishment. She's going to come out there swinging in that first round. So if she could the longer this fight lasts, I think Shevchenko could have the advantage, especially a championship round fight.
I was just going to say the same thing. If it can get to a 4th round, then it'll get really interesting, I think.
Yeah, but man, I'm going to go with the champ on this one, Nunez, but that's going to be the key thing for Shevchenko. If she, especially if she can last that first round, I think she's going to be good. But if this fight gets to the championship rounds, this will definitely, the momentum will definitely be on her side, I believe. So she wins those, she pulled through with those 4th and 5th round, she could definitely have that belt. So. All right, man. Anything else for 215?
Just another fight that's on the undercard. If somebody wants a fun one to watch, I would take a look at Jeremy Stevens and Gilbert Melendez.
Oh, yeah.
Those are 2 that are going to be perfectly fine going in and throwing with each other. That's going to be a nice scrap test there. There's not going to be a lot of wrestling. It's going to be a lot of hands and feet flying.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a good one. That's a good one you brought up there. Yeah, I completely overlooked that one. Yeah, that's definitely entertaining if you're just checking it out. That'll definitely be a good one to look into. All right, still containing some UFC. Let's talk about McGregor for a quick minute. He just got off this big payday with Mayweather. Who can you see him return to fight, man? I know Ferguson and Lee, they're fighting for the interim belt, I believe. But I was telling you earlier this week, Khabib called out McGregor, and there was rumors going around that it could be McGregor and Diaz 3 possible his return. Be a good payday for that one. Just what are you thinking, man? Who do you think is the next guy in line for him?
Well, I mean, I guess you got to look at it 2 ways. Are you looking at deserve, or are you looking at what's going to put more butts in seats and get more people calling for the pay-per-views?
Yeah.
So if you're going to deserve, it's the winner of that interim title fight, or the Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that would argue that as far as, like, if you're looking for next man up. So probably, I do think, that Ferguson-Lee fight, whoever wins, they're not going to feel good about winning because that's going to be a tough, hard fight. So
yeah.
I don't know how quick that turnaround would be. So it would probably be Nurmagomedov off of just who's healthy enough to come after him out of the top contenders.
Yeah.
But
if homie can make weight. So it's, yeah.
That is definitely part of the equation.
Yeah.
But as far as the most box office fight would be the trilogy fight with Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
It's not going to be quite to what, well, it's not going to be anywhere near what McGregor and Mayweather was, but it's another dance partner that's fine talking smack back and forth with McGregor, and Nate has his core group of hardcore fans that are gonna, follow him around wherever he goes. They would probably be able to do a promotional tour because the previous 2 fights made Diaz a little more famous in his own right, for being basically a journeyman fighter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he matches up well with McGregor, being a lanky, rangy boxer, slap boxer that that has a tough chin and is a wizard on the ground. So, I think a lot of people want to see that rubber match just to see who can lead with the final bragging rights.
Yeah. Me, I would love to see, like I said, my homie Khabib could make weight and fight, McGregor. I would love to just see McGregor, face that, challenge, get tested, with his cardio in the ring. I think that'd be a guy that would definitely make McGregor better, just due to, just like I said, Khabib will be bringing it to him the whole fight, man. So that'd be a fight where his conditioning will get tested. However, I do believe with Dana's all about that money right now, man. So this with my heart right now, I think, it would be Diaz and, McGregor if that was to happen. But I would love to see, McGregor getting on with Khabib, for his first fight back. So.
Well, and I mean, I fully believe, Conor has learned a lot from the school of Mayweather.
Yeah.
And he's definitely about making a nice paycheck.
Yeah.
From his fights, and that's the biggest paycheck he's going to be able to make, but I'm not sure if out of the 3 fights that are there for him, that's probably the one he would want to take because he'll make more money and he at least knows he can match up. He's gotten a decision victory over him. I'm not sure if he wants the problems that Ferguson, Khabib, or Lee, honestly, will bring to him because these are all people that have a lot of firepower in their hands and they can all wrestle.
Yeah.
So
out of those 3, who do you think would be the toughest one for McGregor?
I mean, coin flip with Ferguson or Nurmagomedov.
Okay.
I think they both have certain tools that will make them match up a little better. Ferguson's taller.
Yeah.
So Conor wouldn't tower over him like he does a lot of fighters.
Yeah, true.
But Khabib's patience and just how if he gets a hold of him and can get him down, I think it's probably over with him around.
Yeah, I feel the same way, man. All right, anything else from McGregor?
No, just hopefully he does actually come back and defend the belt once.
Yeah. Okay, up next, we're about to talk about your man Woodley. There was, both of your guys, technically, there was him talking about, him going up to middleweight, to fight GSP, since GSP is going to be fighting Bisping. How would you feel about him moving up to middleweight, man?
For one time, big fight like that, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, it's just kind of the way things are going right now. A lot of these fighters, they know, quote, super fights is pretty much the only way they're going to make money.
Yeah.
No matter how good they are, just because broken into the mainstream to the level where if you are just super talented, you can sell a lot of pay-per-views. It's just not that way. You either have to have a good promotional talent for yourself, or basically you're good at talking, or you're willing to say outlandish things to get people interested in you.
Yeah.
Or you have to go up and fight legends and make get people interested that way, and seeing your name side by side with somebody else that's considered a great or legend in your sport. And if you fight GSP, you're gonna have pretty much all of Canada buying that fight. And as far as the UFC goes, he's still one of the bigger names there in America. So I mean that's where the money is. If you're a 170 or 185 pound fighter, I guess is if you want a big payday, that's who you need to fight.
Yeah. Me, I don't have a problem with it. Honestly, I wouldn't even have a problem with Woodley fighting at middleweight and possibly staying at middleweight, man. So I was telling you earlier, the guy he beat some big names in that division. You know, he knocked out Lawler, beat Thompson twice, and he just shut down Maia completely in the octagon not that long ago. So, I mean, he has some talented guys under his belt. So if he was to move up and fight GSP, that'd be a interesting fight. But just how he's built, man, and the guy's a freaking tank, he could definitely move up to that weight and cause havoc in that division as well, possibly. So I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I think it'd be a good fight to see those two in the octagon, and just think it'll sell pretty well. And the guy could definitely handle business in that division if he was to stay up there, I think. So
yeah. I mean, Woodley's he's a big welterweight, so I mean,
yeah.
I definitely think he could be successful at that weight class. But I mean, I think he does still have some challenges at 170. Like, he hasn't cleaned up the division or anything yet, in my opinion. But I mean, these are all making money.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, guys. Anything else to add for UFC before we move on?
I think we covered it.
All right. Okay, up next, we're about to get into the NFL. First thing we're about to talk about is Osweiler. Going back to the Broncos, guys. What were y'all thoughts on this? Were y'all complete shock like I was, or what were y'all thinking?
It was definitely bizarre. That's for sure. I mean, to think that, you know, the Broncos let him go. He gets paid big time by Houston. They release him. He goes to Cleveland, where you think it can't get much lower than that. And then you get released by Cleveland. So it did get lower than that. And you're wondering, is this guy even going to get a job? And then Denver kind of steps back up. It's like, we'll take him. I mean, they won't be paying him half of what they were before. So, you know, they're not going to eat up a huge chunk of this contract, which is nice. But it gives them someone they're familiar with. He's familiar with Denver. He was actually better in Denver when he played than when he was in Houston. So it might be just a better fit for him. Granted, I like the pieces more in Denver than he had in Houston. But I mean, he wasn't even making throws. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of bounces back, see if he gets a start or not. With Paxton Lynch being out, if Trevor Siemian doesn't step up, it looks like Osweiler would be the guy. So yeah, I think it'll just be interesting to see what's next with Osweiler.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say I was like shocked by it or anything like that. I mean, I guess it proved that Denver was right about him.
Yeah.
And they were just how things worked out after his last year previously there. Denver was not going to pay him a ton of money to come back. I feel like they did like him, but they knew he wasn't worth what Houston ended up giving him. And, you know, and Houston figured out he wasn't worth what they paid him, hence them, you know, releasing him and trying to get replacements. And then, like I said, going to the Browns and not being able to stick there. And, you know, Denver gets back a guy that's used to this, knows their system, and that they don't totally hate, but they get him at a price that they feel is what he's worth. So it all worked out for Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Osweiler still gets paid something.
Yeah, he's getting money from somewhere.
Yeah.
How long you think he can? You guys have a lot of faith in him in the Broncos, or like how do you think he's going to do?
We only signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that lets you know like how much faith they're showing in him. They didn't like say.
Well, I don't necessarily know if it's the faith they're showing in him. Paxton Lynch is their guy.
Yeah.
And they're holding on for Paxton Lynch. But at that point, who do you want to pay to be your backup, Siemian or Osweiler? Both have very similar NFL experience.
Yeah.
Simeon will take half of what Osweiler's going to get.
All right, guys. Up next, we're about to go right into Ezekiel Elliott. You guys told me right before we started that I was looking. He won't have to serve the suspension. Just what are your thoughts on this? Me personally, I thought the suspension was. I'll be honest, I thought it was some bullshit.
To be fair, real quick, the suspension's still there.
Oh, it is?
It's just delayed.
Delayed? Okay.
They got a restraining order against the NFL, so they can't suspend him while this lawsuit is going on.
Okay. But to what, like I said, what I think, my thoughts on, I think it was BS. Just reading from the evidence of it, because like from what I was reading about it, through the text messages, I don't know if they're still dating or what, but it's, I say ex-girlfriend or whatever. It looks like she was just setting them up, getting friends a lot on them or whatever. So just looking at that, I don't think it was worth 6 games. However, just looking through an incident, from like what he did on St. Patrick's Day with exposing the lady's breasts, if the NFL wanted to suspend him a game or 2 for that, I could understand. But just like what was going on with this whole, domestic dispute, just with the evidence that I saw on it, I don't think it should have been 6 games worth or anything like that. But what are your guys' thoughts on this suspension?
I mean, I pretty much echo a lot of what you just said. I mean, if you look at everything and like you get on one side that the NFL they don't want another Ray Rice situation.
Yeah.
To fall over them, but they screwed up in the other direction. I mean, I feel like this is an area where just the NFL can't get itself right. You know, back before Ray Rice, they were lenient on these things, but because, you know, he only got suspended 2 games at first, but then everybody saw that video.
Yeah.
And we saw what actually happened. So then they had to come back and suspend him indefinitely and go from there. And then they tried to make this hard line where if it's a domestic dispute issue, you're getting 6 games, period. But then it's uncovered about the whole Josh Brown, the kicker from the Giants last year. He had multiple incidents of domestic violence against his wife. One happened in like the Pro Bowl or something like that, where they had to put them in separate hotels and go that far. And he got 1 game.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, today, while we're waiting for this proceeding to come down, they retroactively come back and give him 6 games.
Yeah.
Even though he's not on a team right now. But the suspension starts this week. So he's suspended even though he isn't even collecting a paycheck right now.
Yeah.
But after week 6, if he wants to sign with a team, he can come and play right then and there. It's like, how stupid does all of this sound?
Yeah.
Like, you got a guy here where your lead investigator came back and said, I would not suspend this guy. There's too many holes in this girl's story. No games.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to be clear, I'm not saying that no domestic issue happened between him. He could have hit her. He could not have hit her. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at something like this, you have to look at facts.
Yeah.
And if they appointed this lady that is their lead investigator for this, who's a career prosecutor, and she's dealt with these kind of cases, and she's supposed to be the lead dog who you refer to on these things, she comes back and says, no, I would not give him any games off, but the NFL wants to set a standard here and play hardball. Nope, you're getting 6 games. And then the appeal happens. You don't allow the accuser to be cross-examined as far as being questioned about the situation, and they don't make a lot of stuff available for Elliott's lawyers. So I just think the NFL has backed themselves into a corner where right now is they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, because they've clouded this issue worse than anything.
Yeah.
And it's making all parties look bad. It makes the NFL look bad because they don't know how to handle this kind of stuff, which makes sense. They're not the police.
Yeah.
The police wouldn't file charges on this stuff, so they stepped up and gave the 6 games based on the guys of domestic violence. When honestly, I mean, I'll end it on this. The NFL could have avoided all of this just by saying, "Hey Zeke, we got video of you pulling the girl's top down. We have the story about a possible bar fight.
Yeah.
There's just too much stuff going on. You're going to get 3 games for that." And just say, "We don't have enough on the domestic violence deal." Yeah. Based on the police reports and based on our investigator. And I'm pretty sure everybody would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with everything you both have just said, so I'm not going to dig deeper into that. And basically, I'm just repeating you guys. But let me give another name that you left out, Darnell. How about Joe Mixon? Dude, decks a woman. It's on camera. She's out cold. And what's his penalty? What is he playing week 1?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is he playing week 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I said, everything you guys said. I'm in complete agreement. But where is just the consistency here? There is zero consistency, and that is where I think my frustration lies a little more. Like, if Zeke's getting 6 games and there's no rock solid evidence, there's no videotape, yet Joe Mixon's playing week 1, that, come on, why are there not red flags? Yeah. At least within the NFL. Because outside of the NFL, everybody's screaming, well, why is Joe Mixon playing?
Well, the Mixon one, I guess, they can hide behind the fact that happened when he was in college and it was like his freshman or sophomore year when it happened.
Yeah.
And he was sat down for a time by Oklahoma.
Yes. Yeah, I guess.
So they can say he was punished for that, and you could also say he was punished because he was probably he was a first round talent that dropped to the 3rd round, or was it second or third round?
Yeah.
Yes. Second round. So he got hit probably by a couple million off his deal for that. I'm not saying that makes it all right. I'm not condoning anything he did. But I guess
time limitation there.
It would bring up a whole other issue if the NFL tried to suspend him on top of what his university already suspended him for that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. But
so I mean, I agree. This is a big issue. Like another one you could look at, who was a darling last year, in Tariq Hill.
Oh yeah.
He had a big issue like that, the year before in college, but, I'm not sure what happened as far as college goes, but he was a late round draft pick and kind of blew up and everybody loved him, even though if you did a little Googling on him, he had a pretty graphic, domestic issue in his past. So, I mean, this is an issue that the NFL has, but they can't figure out how to deal with it. I believe the best way for them to deal with it is fine. If you want to have a straight line policy on these where you make a decision on a suspension, but I think they need to separate themselves from the appeal process, because if any person that's logical and trying to look at this without trying to blame the victim or trying to say that Ezekiel Elliott did nothing wrong, you're just putting it on facts. Nobody is going to say this is 6 game suspension here. Any independent arbitrator would have said no. I mean, if you want to lower it to 2 or 3 because of suspicion, because you think something happened, but definitely everything this girl said did not happen. So, but that's the problem that the NFL's gotten themselves into. Their judge, jury, executioner, and appeal jury, judge, and executioner too.
Yeah. This is a question for you, Darnell. You kind of just approached it, just from the individual perspective, just how you feel. But we all know you're a Cowboys fan, man. Just how do you think that's going to be, affecting the Cowboys and your squad, going further? Cause they play in a pretty tough division, man. You think like if with the suspension and stuff, it wasn't to happen, like how do you think they can end up messing up their, chances for the division or what?
I mean, as of right now, since it looks like he might play the whole year, no.
Okay.
I mean, we've all played sports. I mean, we haven't had anything to this level.
Yeah.
On your back dealing with something, but I mean, athletes know how to compartmentalize what's going on in the real world for themselves versus what happens when they're on the field. Usually for all of these guys, being on the field is a release. So, if Zeke is on the field, I think you get that potent offense that they had last year, that, ball control and opening up a passing game. If something comes out where things happen where he actually has to miss 6 games during the middle of the year, then that's some stuff they'll have to deal with there. So, I mean, yeah, they have McFadden and they have Alfred Morris, but neither of those two is Zeke from a talent perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the fact that, if he was a 1,000-yard rusher, he, was basically a stud from day one, that definitely helps the team compartmentalize it. It would be one thing if he was, average or a second stringer and causing this kind of a commotion around the team. The fact that it's Zeke, the team will rally around that. They want him on the field. They know they're at their best when he's, running the rock. So, I think that definitely helps the team kind of put it in perspective and be like, yeah, dude's going through a hard time, but we need him. So we're going to be there for him when he needs us. So yeah. I think that's going to kind of be their mentality if, say a suspension comes down the season, which it is still possible, but it's looking like he's going to play all season. At least that's what all the reports are saying at this moment. So, yeah, I just think that that's what the attitude is going to be around that Dallas locker room.
All right, guys. Any thoughts on Zeke?
I just hope it all gets sorted out and we just know what's going on, really.
Yeah.
Instead of there just kind of being a gray cloud.
Yeah. All right, guys. To close this out, just opening week. What do you guys think about thoughts on week 1? There was a game on last night. Pretty big upset. A lot of people's minds, but just what are your thoughts on week 1?
I mean, started with a bang last night. Like you said, we got a shocker with Kansas City blowing the doors off of New England as far as, it was kind of a reverse Super Bowl.
A little bit.
As the game started, it looked like this was going to be a game that New England was going to run away with. They got the quick fumble from Hunt, scored there. They would have had the passing touchdown to Gronk, but that got overturned. But I think Gillisley even had another touchdown there. They went into the half. There was a big gap yet, but you had that feeling like, probably the Patriots have this one pretty safe at hand. But then end of the third to the fourth quarter, it was like, what happened? Where, all of a sudden Alex Smith turned into Tom Brady and Tom Brady turned into a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. Yeah. Brady missed a few he should have made.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Well, yeah, he didn't complete 50% of his passes, which, it was a very un-Brady-like game. But, it was fun to watch. Seeing what looks like maybe a new star in the league in Kareem Hunt.
Absolutely.
Going from fumbling on your first carry to the most scrimmage yards ever by somebody in their first game.
Yeah, he was definitely 0 to hero.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool to see, and just pumped up for some of the matchups we have coming Sunday. Like me and starting off a rivalry game, you got Cowboys Giants. I'm looking forward to that. Local team here, we got them going against the Cardinals, who weren't very good last year, but I think both of those teams are questioned to see what we get there. Some good games on the schedule, and happy to have real football being played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely agree. Good first Thursday night game, kind of kept everybody on their toes. The game made it to the fourth quarter, but Kansas City started to run away. And just a quick note there on Tom Brady not having a great game. I think we also need to realize that Kansas City's a top 5 defense. Like it's not like he went out against Jacksonville and laid an egg.
Yeah.
So, you have to give some credit there to Kansas City. Good defense, good coaching over there. For sure. But
real quick, guys, any worries this could be Father Time catching up to Brady, or you just think this?
Yeah, small sample size.
All right.
One week.
If this happens like week 2 and week 3, he still can't connect on 50% of his passes, and he's floating some balls like he was last night. Then that may be the case. He is 40 years old, so it's just people got to remember that.
Yeah.
And I do believe the Patriots know that he's that old as well, which is why they didn't move on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They traded Jacoby Brissett a couple days ago, actually. Brought in a wide receiver. So they've definitely held on to the poker chip that is Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're holding on to him knowing that Brady could be done in a minute. So I don't know that Father Time's catching up yet, but 1 week, good defense. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, remember a couple of years ago, they got blown out of the water in Kansas City week 1. And then Tom Brady
won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll say, and then Brady went on to win the Super Bowl. So, I won't look too much into that for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess, okay.
He struggled some in the game. There's no denying it. There was still some Brady that we know to be Tom Brady throws in there. He had that one to Cooks where he threw it 60 yards
down the near sideline.
Yeah, so that one I was like, wow, that's a throw right there. So I can't just totally say he fell off a cliff or something like that. I wouldn't say that anyway after one game, but there was still a couple spots in there, and we do have to remember. I hate to be a Patriots apologist, but he did just lose Julian Edelman. Amendola got concussed, shocker, in that game. And he's probably still trying to get some timing with Cooks, and Gronk was actually he was getting shut down by Eric Berry up until the injury.
Yeah.
He was smothered. So.
Any news? Did they release any news on Bear? Is it?
He's done for the year.
He's done for okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, I guess I'll just pick back up then. Just in terms of week 1, it's going to be interesting to see what a lot of teams bring to the table early. It's going to be fun to watch some of the rookies for sure. Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey. We saw Kareem Hunt the other night. Once Spencer Ware went down, it seemed like Kareem Hunt was all anybody was talking about. Especially in the fantasy football world. But, I think McCaffrey and Fournette are going to be two people we're really going to be eyeing. Is OBJ going to play? So there's still some storylines to be looking at, even though it's just week 1 of the NFL season. So, also Adrian Peterson playing Minnesota. That'll be an odd one for a lot of people to see when Drew Brees hands it off to Adrian Peterson. So
AP is going to be starting.
As far as I know, he's their number 1.
Okay.
Right. They're calling him and Ingram co-number 1 backs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
but I mean, for that game, I would expect the first carry to go to AP.
Yeah, sure.
Seeing against the Vikings.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, guys. Anything left to add for the NFL?
Nope.
All right. Now we're about to move to some NCAA football. Guys, just your thoughts on week one. We had some pretty good games last week for college football. Just what were your thoughts on some of the games?
I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, college football chaos starting out week one. You had the Maryland Texas game where nobody expected to see that coming in there, where Maryland just beats up on Texas, and people might already be calling for Tom Herman to go. And then Western USC, that game was a shock up until pretty much the fourth quarter, and the game that we were all kind of penciling in to look forward to, this might be the national championship round one, and FSU got, they got cooked slowly. They were pulled pork on a slow cooker. They were never really in it, and it wasn't just like Alabama steamrolled them, but it's just like you were watching that game just going, it was just like, oh yeah, they're just beating them up. And by the fourth quarter, they were just shredding that pork to get ready for some sandwiches, and it was all over.
Yeah, another game you didn't mention, but Purdue gave Louisville a big run. Came down to basically the final seconds. Yeah. Howard, pulled off what was the biggest point spread upset in the history of NCAA football. UCLA pulled a miracle in the fourth quarter to beat Texas A&M. Like you said, the hysteria started week one. It was awesome. Like, in some ways, we couldn't have asked for anything better.
For the UCLA one, can I just point out that I love that they pulled a fake spike with the clock already stopped?
Yeah. Texas A&M practically fell for it.
Yeah. That was crazy. All right, guys. Anything else to add for week one?
Looking forward to week two.
Yeah, I'll say I'm already ready for week two tomorrow.
Yeah. Just from the looks, I believe we all have Florida State for our playoff spots. For one of our spots in the playoffs.
That might be changing here.
Yeah. With Francois out, is this an instant L for us and for one of our picks?
I'm not going to call it an L because even the real analysts get to switch theirs. You know what I mean? Like, they're changing theirs by the minute.
Yeah.
So I'm not calling it an L. I'm just calling it something happened and we need to switch. I mean,
that's a good point, man.
Granted, their season's not over. They could still bounce back from this, but I mean, they're probably not the favorite in the ACC anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that made Clemson and Miami look a lot better. With Francois going out, but we do have to just remember that Florida State's defense was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, it was offensive mishaps and Alabama's defense just being ungodly, which mainly won that game. They kept Hurt in check pretty much outside of that one long bomb to Ridley. He was throwing a lot of swing passes and tucking the ball and running. And the backs gave FSU trouble, but how many other O lines with 3 number 1 5-star running backs are they going to face? I don't think there's another team that can throw that at them.
No.
So I mean, I wouldn't say that it's totally done, but that chance went from like a 40% chance they make it to the Final Four to me to probably like a 15% chance now. I do think they have enough talent to beat a Clemson or to beat a Miami, but it depends on how this freshman quarterback is and how much of a game manager he can be.
Yeah.
Because Florida State has their fair share of athletes back there, so I'm not going to say that they're just done yet.
Yeah. All right, guys. Since last week was week 1, got a chance to see y'all squads play. Just what were your thoughts on them last week? Were y'all pretty impressed with their play or what?
First was a bigger game. You started.
All right. I was impressed and I was not impressed. Impressed with the defense, not impressed with the offense. I guess namely Wilton Spate at quarterback threw 2 pick sixes, and that was basically Florida's story. He was just overthrowing the guys. I don't know if it was adrenaline or. Granted, the first pick six he threw hit the receiver right in the hands, should have been caught, popped up, Florida intercepted, took to the house. The second one, the edge rush, beat the left tackle. You could argue that, him just flashing around the edge of the line, kind of made Spate, I guess, have a distorted release. It wasn't a normal step into it, nice throw, which caused him to overthrow the receiver. But at the end of the day, he missed a wide open receiver, and the pitch went straight into the arms of Florida. So that was kind of the low point for Michigan, but did a lot of things well. Offensively, they ran the ball really well. They got a lot of first downs off of some runs, and I'm talking like 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12. They were converting off of running the football, which was very odd, which that shouldn't happen at all. But they found a way to do it and converted a lot of third downs, which was nice to see. And it was nice to see them doing that, running the football, especially against a physical defense like Florida's. But in terms of the defense, they were totally there, ready to go from the first minute. Devin Bush almost got ejected for a target on the first play of the game, and turned out to be a good thing he wasn't ejected because he was all over that field. He had a real solid game, but the defense only allowed 3 points all game. Do you want to credit that to good defense or a terrible Florida offense? I'm cool saying I'll credit both. Florida helped Michigan in a lot of ways on offense. They couldn't, I don't know if their quarterbacks couldn't recognize coverage or if that offensive line wasn't blocking well enough for them. Just Michigan seemed to just have their way on defense. I think Florida averaged something like less than a yard per run, which that's awful. I'm sorry. No SEC team should be averaging less than a yard a rush. So Michigan's defense looked good. Offense looked mediocre. I expect them to clean it up a little bit this week against Cincinnati, a lesser opponent. Is it necessarily going to just be like a walkover breeze game? Who knows? We'll see. I feel like you should never count a team out. Good week 1 win, SEC opponent. That looks good on your schedule. Looks good for your strength of schedule. Looks good for your strength of record, your RPI, all of that, which is what the playoff committee looks for. So, good week 1. Like I said, we have Cincinnati week 2. We'll see if the offense, and namely Wilton Spate, can clean it up a little bit. Other than that, I was very happy with week 1.
Yeah, just to piggyback some on that game, as the other sider on it. I had a lot of questions going into this game, and I feel like not a lot of them got answered. So I watched the game with a buddy that's a big Michigan fan, and so going into it, I was like, man, like I just feel a little bit weird with how tight-lipped Harbaugh like not the whole depth chart, but that he wouldn't name a starting quarterback. I was like, all that means to me is that there's either just not a lot of distance between the quarterbacks, and or he just doesn't have a lot of faith in Golden State. And I feel like that kind of was the case because I even said, I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if all of a sudden like O'Korn is the starter.
Yeah.
Which he didn't start. He came in for a couple series and looked worse than Spade did at first, which is shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, going back to that, like, I agree that the first interception, I don't think was his fault. He did hit the receiver in the hands, and that one should have been pulled down. But that second one, like, I was looking like, it looked like the corner ran the route for him.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like it was a comeback to the corner.
Yeah, he was standing there with arms wide open.
Yeah. So, like, that one was just, like, I don't know what he was seeing, or, like, he didn't know who his hot read was there or what. But yeah, they definitely look good running the ball. I think you guys have a nice little stable there. Cause I think that should have been the one part for Florida that should have still been legit, should have been their run defense. But it wasn't, but you guys still ran over them. So I was impressed there. As far as the defense, they looked better, especially linebacker play. They could move laterally, which they haven't been able to do in like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good sign. But as far as the defense as a whole, I can't give a ton of credit because Franks was awful and
Zaire was worse.
God awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how much credit to give. The defense looked good. But I just don't know how much of that was the dance partner they had and how much was just them taking over. So
and
I got to see a couple of games down the line when they play somebody that's actually talented at skill positions.
Yeah, and I'm definitely there with you because everyone I've talked to, I've told them, I said, I thought the defense looked good, but it's not like the Florida offense is something that people are really scared about.
Yeah.
So, my thing is, I'm giving the defense credit for only giving up 3 points in a week 1 game. Like, that's a good feat for any defense. I don't care who you are or who you're playing. If you only give up 3 offensive points, that's a good outing. But once again, they got a lot of help.
All right, guys. Anything else to add?
Yeah, Darnell's got to.
Oh, yeah, Darnell. Yeah.
Well, I'll keep mine pretty quick here. They answered my questions for week 1, just coming off of a 3-win season. I wanted them to come out and, I don't like to go by spreads, but I was like, if they can't cover the spread, another rough year coming. They were able to come out and do that. There's still some questions. Run blocking was not very good. I also didn't feel good that was supposed to be our most talented running back with the worst out of the 3-headed monster that we're supposed to have. LJ Scott seemed to struggle. I don't know if there's still issues with the off-season shoulder surgery that he had, which was supposed to fix numbness or whatever that he was getting, but he put the ball on the ground twice. Madre London looked good. I thought he probably actually looked the best out of the 3 backs, which was surprising. Lewerke, you could definitely see it was his first real game, live game back from breaking his leg. He was a little gun shy early. But as he settled in the second half, he looked a lot better. I like the flashes that we got from receivers. Tristan Jackson, Felton Davis, both big targets. I think that'll be very helpful later in the year. As far as defense goes, we still look like we're going to have trouble getting the quarterbacks, but that young secondary, I think, looks talented. Not saying that it's no fly zone of old or anything like that, but they're serviceable, and I don't think they're going to be getting burned left and right like last year and the year before.
Yeah, I'll just touch real fast, and like I said last week, my big concern for Michigan State was just get a win under your belt. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty, just get a win week 1, build some confidence there. Especially after after last year when they were losing early. I feel like that really defeats you as a program. You get a close game to Furman week 1 last year, and then you come out hot against Notre Dame, but then they just bit the dust. So I just feel like, especially with a younger type roster, like you said, Lewerke's first game back, get a win. They did. They won handily. They won well. They controlled the whole game. And I just think that that's a good first step for any team, no matter who you're playing against. Just win a game you're supposed to win it how you're supposed to win it, and the rest will work itself out. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's the process. Looking at each week is just a step in the right direction. Like, I just want to see improvement every week and win the games they're favored to win.
All right. Up next, we got 3 big games this week. About to cover a little bit. The first one I'm about to get into is Clemson versus Auburn. What do you guys' thoughts on this game?
I didn't see Auburn play last week. I'll admit that, but what I saw to Clemson was, I think, kind of what we expected. Run game was strong. Quarterback took a little bit of time to get comfortable throwing the ball, but defense looked phenomenal. And that's what we expected. We expected their edge rush to be really good. Safeties, corners, solid. Linebackers, super solid. And we said last week, the strength's going to be the defense. They're going to ride on that. And I think that's going to need to be the case again, especially against good SEC opponent. You're looking at a top 15 Auburn. I believe it's 13th right now. So, I just think Clemson's defense is going to need to come up big here. Dabo Swinney's going to need to be sharp, making some calls. Coordinators will have to be there, but I don't necessarily know who I'm picking just yet. But I definitely think this would be another solid resume builder for Clemson, and if Auburn can pull off the upset, that could give them some big momentum before SEC play starts.
This will just be huge
for
Clemson too. Just with the ACC, Florida State with their injury, whatnot. So if they can pull off a big win like this one, they could definitely let teams know that, hey, we're still the king of the ACC. Don't get too hyped in the Florida State. So this would be a good one. Definitely a good one if they could pull this one off.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Darnell.
Yeah, I think this is a big chance for. It's a big game to see where Clemson actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off the national championship, they're breaking in a new quarterback who looked really good Saturday. I want to point that out. He looked poised, made the right plays, looked good.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's a top 15 matchup here, and this will say, are they rebuilding? Are they reloaded? Like, are they poised to at least get back to the playoff? Maybe put some more magic together. I think this is a big game to kind of see the trajectory of this team. Are they going to be kind of flat where they are for the rest of the year, down a little bit, or is there room to grow still for this team?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Anything else to add?
Should be a good one. Just real quick, I feel like this is definitely going to be one I'm going to keep a close eye on.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like both of these teams, whichever team picks up this win could make some noise for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, this kind of like what I was just saying, for Clemson, they could still, this would be a game that they could show that they still got it. And for Auburn, this could be a chance for them to show that, hey, we're coming back. We're looking to be the kings of the SEC. So this is an early game that both guys can prove. Definitely make a statement for sure. So up next we have USC versus Stanford. Thoughts on this game, guys?
I'm really interested in seeing this one, especially because of the awkward game that we were speaking of with USC and Western.
Yeah.
I want to see if this was a situation where USC was looking ahead to this week. Is that why Western gave them that much of a game, or are there questions to be had? Like, is USC's run D really that bad? Because Stanford is a team that's going to test that.
Yeah, for sure.
They traditionally are a pound the rock type team, run the ball and play good defense. They're in that like NFL type of mold. So I want to see how this goes, just to see is USC overhyped from last year, that big game that they had. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Darnell and I were talking while we were waiting on you, Trey. But this is kind of like the game that's flying way under the radar. Like, no one's talking about this game at all. And I definitely think it's a game that's very winnable for Stanford. And we could see our first, Florida State loss, but loss to Alabama doesn't seem like a quote unquote upset, but we could see another top 5 team go down.
Yeah.
Or did they just jump outside of the top 5?
6.
Yeah. 6. So top 6 team go down. USC wasn't exactly impressive. Sam Darnold was not impressive. But I do think this is one that Stanford can sneak up on some people and, take a W.
Yeah. And last but not least, we have Oklahoma versus Ohio State. Just thoughts on this one, guys.
The matchup of the day, for sure. College game day's there. 2 teams that should, basically be competing for a national championship. We think Oklahoma will get left out, but, with Florida State, losing, I think that kind of lets people, I think it opens the door big time for Oklahoma, especially if they can win. If they can beat Ohio State and return the favor from last year, I think we may be looking at throwing, Oklahoma into that 4th spot. They looked impressive. Game 1, they won huge. Granted, Ohio State played an early first week game, so they got some extra time to prepare. You can almost bet they all watched Oklahoma play on Saturday. I think the interesting matchup here is, the 2 head coaches. You're having the young coach trying to prove himself in Oklahoma, replacing Bob Stoops, going up against Urban Meyer. So I think it's going to come down to some good coaching, because I think the players on the field are going to speak a lot, and we're going to see a lot of what we expect. We're going to see some big plays. I think we're going to see a very physical game. I just think who calls some smarter plays, maybe who utilizes a timeout at a better moment, things like that. I think the small things are going to be what wins this game.
Yeah, I think we got a nice old-fashioned shootout coming with this one. Both of them are going to be, wanting to run back everything that happened last year. But, it's going to be a fun matchup. You got two veteran quarterbacks that'll be heading up both teams. Some youth in spots on both teams as well. Both breaking in freshman running backs, I believe. And just fun all around, but I think the deciding factor is Oklahoma's also breaking in a rookie coach.
Yeah.
So we'll see how big a factor that plays, because talent wise, I think they match up pretty well. But like Ty said, this is a big one for Oklahoma. If they can win this one, especially since the Big 12 looks like it should be another one that the Sooners should be able to run through and take it over, outside of maybe having to deal with Oklahoma State. Yeah. So they could earn their way into that Final Four.
Yeah. All right, guys. You ready for the pick'ems?
Absolutely.
All right. For college football, my man Ty is 6 for 6. While me and Darnell, we're at 5 for 6. So, Ty, you at first place for now, man, but that's going to change.
Uh-huh.
All right. First game we got is Rice versus UTEP.
Oh, I feel like I thrive on these weird picks. My boys from Tuskegee pulled it off last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, not too concerned about this game in terms of flipping it on the TV, but I don't know. UTEP just got rocked by Oklahoma last week. I think it's just because they were way outmatched. I don't think it has anything to do with how they're going to stack up to competition in their conference. But give me Rice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with Rice here since the only athlete I ever know to come out of UTEP is a basketball player, and that was Tim Hardaway. So I'm going to go with the team I've at least heard of winning football games.
Yeah. I got UTEP hitting that two-step on Rice, so give me UTEP, man.
Okay.
Up next, we have Georgia and Notre Dame.
Yeah, Georgia just lost their quarterback, which can make this game very interesting now. I probably would have taken Georgia before, but give me Notre Dame.
I'm going to go with Georgia here because I thought the backup came in and actually looked like more than serviceable. So
yeah, he did.
So I'm gonna go with the troops rallying around the new quarterback, and they take down the Golden Domers.
Yeah, I got Georgia as well, man. Just been disappointed with Dame, specifically last year. So I just think they got a little bit to prove to me this year coming into the season. So I'm gonna stick with Georgia. The QB did get hurt, but the backup looked pretty well. So I think Georgia's going to come in and get the W. Up next, we have Clemson and Auburn.
Yeah, we kind of touched this game a little bit. I was impressed with Clemson, so I'm going to stick with them.
All right.
Yep, I'm rolling with Clemson on this one too. That they were impressive to me, and I hate Auburn. So,
you ain't giving us a War Eagle, man?
No, not this time.
All right, I'm going with Clemson as well. All right, up next we had USC versus Stanford.
Did you pick the last one, Trey? Clemson?
Yeah, Clemson. Yeah, I got Clemson.
Okay. All right, yeah, just make sure. Yeah, I don't think any of us were real impressed with USC last week, but it'll be interesting to see if it was just a case of playing down to your opponent. I still think USC is a talented team, but a lot of people are talking about how physical Stanford is and how they'll play anyone as hard as anybody can in the country. So I'm actually going to take Stanford on the upset.
All right.
Ooh. Well, I'm going to go with I do think USC was looking ahead last week. And I'm gonna say that was why they had a little bit of a letdown. So I'm gonna stick with the Trojans and Sammy Darnold.
Yeah, I'm picking USC as well, but I'm nervous for this one, man. Stanford's one of those teams that can bring it. So I would not be surprised at all if Stanford can end up pulling an upset on this one. So. Up next, we have Oklahoma versus Ohio State. How you guys feel?
I'm going to go Ohio State at home. I just think they're. Once again, I picked them for my playoff, so I'm sticking with them. Yeah. Urban Meyer's the real deal. So.
Yeah, I'm going Ohio State. It comes down to coaching, like I said, for this one. I know he's come up in the system, but this is his first year as a head coach. Urban Meyer is still Urban Meyer, so I'm going with the Buckeyes.
I'm going with Ohio State as well, man. I'm kind of nervous for Oklahoma on this one. I'm just looking at last year, Ohio State won 45-24 in Oklahoma. They got like I said, like you guys said, they got a new coach. So I think Urban, he's going to have his number on this one. So I think Ohio State's going to pull this one off. All right. Now we're going into the NFL. First game we're about to get into is Minnesota versus New Orleans.
Anyone else want to go first now?
I was going to say,
give me New Orleans, man. I'll pick NO.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going with the Saints as well.
We all going Saints?
Yeah, they just have more offense.
Minnesota's still throwing out Sam Bradford, aren't they?
Yeah, as far as I know. Well, although
Teddy ain't healthy yet, so
and I'm, we mentioned a couple rookie running backs.
Minnesota had that nice start last year, man. They started off pretty good, so
they did. I mean, I'll tell you, we talked about Kareem Hunt, Christian McCaffrey, and Leonard Fournette earlier. Don't leave out Dalvin Cook.
True.
We'll see.
Yeah. Up next, we have Baltimore and Cincy.
I'm gonna take Cincinnati.
Yeah, same here. Give me the Red Rocket.
Right. Red Rocket.
I'm gonna go with my boys on this, and I'm gonna go with Baltimore. So we'll see. Yeah. All right, and both of y'all got Cincy, right?
Yep.
Okay. Up next, we have Oakland and Tennessee.
I think this is the toughest one we're picking.
Yeah, I'm picking Oakland.
Picking Oakland?
Yeah.
Give me Tennessee.
All right.
Give me the Raiders.
Chris Berman.
All right. What would an NFL pick'em be without them Detroit Lions? Up next, we got Arizona versus the D.
Give me the Lions. I'll pick them every week.
So you're trying to lose this.
Oh man.
I'll be real.
I'm actually gonna go with the Lions this week too.
Ooh, okay.
I got a feeling Arizona is still not gonna be good this year.
I'm rolling with Arizona, man. I don't know, man. The Lions can be the Lions, man. Sometimes they're supposed to win, they'll pull off an L. So I got to go with my gut with Zona on this one. Okay, up next we have Seattle versus Green Bay.
Give me Seattle. Better defense.
Seattle.
Ooh, this is the one I'm torn on.
I'm picking Seattle.
They're in Green Bay. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Going with the bad man.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, and I'm picking, I don't know if you heard me, but yeah, I'm picking Seattle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we were going to pick the Patriots, between the Patriots and KC, but I added last minute, Cowboys versus Giants. We're going to give a shout out to Darnell's squad. So who y'all got?
I think it boils down to whether OBJ plays or not. I mean, Dak Prescott hasn't played well against the Giants yet, so do I have to make like a definitive pick here, or can I give a scenario?
Gotta be definitive, man.
I was going to say, I think it has to be definitive for something we're keeping score on.
All right.
Yeah, I hit y'all with that last minute one, so.
The Giants can't run the ball. I don't know if they're going to be able to, if Dallas will be able to stop the pass. Jeez, give me Dallas.
All right.
Give me Dallas.
Yeah, the Giants had our number last year. I think that's been sticking with the Cowboys all off season, and the Giants coach has been throwing some shade recently. So I think the Cowboys come a little fired up here and they take this down.
All right. Fuck the Cowboys. I got the Giants, baby. Let's go, Giants.
Shocking.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting to see, man. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys win, but I got to go against Darnell. So
but you're a hater.
Yeah.
All he is.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything left to add before we close this up?
No, sir.
All right. You got anything, Darnell?
No, I'm just gonna have to record a part of the Dave Chappelle hater skit and play that every time you show your ways.
Oh man, hey, I had to, man. All right, guys. As always, I appreciate y'all for checking us out. You can check our podcast out on Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud. Just hit us up in that search engine. Also, check us out on Twitter. You can follow us at DKM_cast. But as always, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Got some good games this week, so be looking forward to it. Peace.